Thank you for your interest in the AbleBridge Data Grid Control add-on for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. This video is designed to walk you through the basics of our data grid solution. AbleBridge Data Grid is available for CRM online or on-premise deployments. It's highly configurable and works with both system and custom entities. AbleBridge Data Grid Control is a flexible Microsoft Dynamics CRM enhancement that delivers a richer user experience by representing information more efficiently on CRM forms. Data Grid Control supports inline grid editing, flexible layout options, Microsoft Excel export, section grouping, sorting, and much more. Let's take a look at some examples of what AbleBridge Data Grid Control can do. A data grid can be placed on any CRM form. Here's an example of a basic data grid built off the standard contact entity and displayed on the account form. It's similar to what you could create with CRM's out-of-the-box subgrid functionality, where you choose the CRM fields to display. Unlike CRM subgrids, you can easily edit this information. Simply double-click any of the fields to activate the edit feature. You can edit multiple rows and columns all at once before committing your changes by clicking Save. You can also use the data grid to delete records or create new ones without having to leave this form. Multiple data grids can be placed on the same form. This data grid is configured against the standard case entity. It highlights the data grid's grouping capabilities. With a quick glance, you can see how many cases are categorized as active, canceled, or resolved. This grid is configured against a custom entity called metals and utilizes the inline calculation feature. This company sells precious metals in the form of bars and coins. With a quick glance at the account, we can see the value of the inventory. Like the previous grid, this one allows for grouping based on category, but it also calculates the value of the bars and coins of each metal by multiplying the number of ounces in inventory by the price per ounce of the metal. In edit mode, you'll notice that two fields are outlined in red. This is because they are required. The CRM fields used in the data grid inherit the security attribute defined within the CRM security model. Also, the value field is grayed out because it is automatically calculated based on the product of ounces and price per ounce. When one of those fields is changed, the value is updated accordingly. Another helpful feature of the data grid is the ability to customize the toolbar. Because metal prices can vary from day to day, Boston Metals needs a way to quickly check prices. Therefore, we've configured the toolbar to launch an external site to see the latest info on the metals market. Now we'll look at a grid where you can group the data and see subtotals based on the grouping category. This grid is configured on a custom entity called Buildings. Boston Condos owns 2 buildings. Building 1 has 4 units, and Building 2 has 3. Like the previous grid, this one also uses inline calculations. Square footage is multiplied by price per square foot to determine the monthly lease amount. I want to know the monthly income being generated based on the current occupancy level, but that information isn't readily available in this view. Data grid allows dynamic grouping, so you can see the information in a way that's more relevant to what you're looking for. I'll regroup the data by occupancy instead of building to find the information that I want. Now we can see that the current monthly income is $25,975, and an additional $9,700 could be gained by leasing Unit D in Building 1 and Unit B in Building 2. Grouping records can provide quick visibility into metrics you would otherwise have to calculate on your own. Next, let's take a look at a more advanced data grid. This grid highlights the capability of associating multiple grids to one another. Boston Investments owns 5 different properties in the Boston area. The figures in this grid are a summary of the data related to the offices within each property. To see information about the offices at a particular location, just select that property, and a related grid will populate below. Let's take a look at 100 Milk Street. Data grid not only allows you to edit plain text fields, but you can edit option sets, date fields, lookups, and memo fields as well. Any changes made here will be reflected in the summary data grid above. For example, I'll change the square footage for Unit 1 to 1200 and click Save. Now I'll refresh the summary grid and the total square footage will change to 23,500 and the monthly rent will increase from 23,867 to 24,217. Data grids aren't just limited to forms. A grid can also be launched from the navigation pane. This data grid is configured using the Standard Opportunities entity and shows all open opportunities. The data is grouped by the record owner and sorted based on sales stage. This view makes it very simple to see how many opportunities each salesperson is working on and the total estimated revenue. Like data grids on the forms, this one can also be used to edit multiple records at once, which can be especially helpful for salespeople to make quick information edits to their sales pipeline. Multi-currency support is inherited from the currencies and exchange rates set up in Microsoft Dynamics CRM. In addition to US dollars, this grid has been set up for euros and pesos, but any currency supported in CRM can be used. The Data Grid toolbar can be configured to include an Excel button. This provides the user with the option to export as formatted data, as presented in the data grid, or unformatted data. This can be useful if you need to print this information or send it in an email. Unformatted data is great for distribution, importing to other systems, or if you want to use it to create pivot tables of your own. Data grids are created and configured through a familiar CRM record interface. From a simple form, you can choose where you want the data grid, choose display options, and decide if you want the data grouped or sorted in a specific way. The menu items on the left have additional configuration options. Columns is where you choose which fields you want represented in the data grid. Here are the columns that originally appeared on the first contact grid we looked at. For data grid customers, additional videos are available showing more in-depth how-to instructions on creating and configuring data grids. Thanks again for your interest in AbleBridge Data Grid Control for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. For additional information about this or any other AbleBridge product or service, please visit our website, ablebridge.com, or send an email to info@ablebridge.